Ashwin sir, the stage is all yours.
So when everyone is ready to doze off, I have the delightful task of waking you up. So let me start by telling you a story. After all, I'm a storyteller, right? So the reason you've called me here is for stories. So let me tell you this story. Once upon a time, and of course every good story always starts with once upon a time. So once upon a time, there was a lawyer in the state of Mississippi in the United States. And inside a courtroom, he was, by the way, he was a law student and was observing the proceedings. And he saw a 12-year-old girl tell a jury about how she had been raped and beaten. The atmosphere in the courtroom was very, very serious. Most people had tears in their eyes. It moved this man to write a story. Everyone was there, but this man decided that he wanted to tell that story of that little girl. And this is the person who wrote that. Can anyone recognize this person? Okay, lucky guess, come on, lucky guess. Be courageous. As Sharan said, right? Be courageous. Okay, for those who don't want to be courageous, this is John Grisham. And that first book was a book called A Time to Kill. And which talked about the entire courtroom drama surrounding this 12-year-old girl. Now let's go back into A Time to Kill and just see the journey with which this book took place. The book was rejected 28 times. There were 28 publishers who said, Mr. Grisham, thank you, but no thank you, right? And then when he eventually did find a publisher, the first publisher was a little press known as Winwood Press. No one has even heard of them today. And that first book, the print run was 5,000 copies. Today it sounds laughable, a John Grisham book being printed at the rate of 5,000 copies at a time. But that's precisely what happened, 5,000 copies. And then of course, he went on to sell 250 million books, right? The story, why have I brought this up? Because writing and storytelling is a lot about believing in yourself. It is said that there are 3 types of people in this world. Those who make things happen, those who watch things happen, and those who wonder what happened. I wonder as to how many of us know which category we belong to. Unfortunately, even today I don't know which category I belong to. But when I started out, and of course I have no background in writing whatsoever, but when I started out, I was told that Ashwin, you stop worrying that you don't know anything about writing. Because there are 3 rules for writing a novel. Unfortunately, no one knows what they are. Which means, in other words, you can pretty much make up along the way. And you can make up your own rules. You can decide how you want to write. It's, as Sharan would say, a blank canvas. So I certainly didn't. I mean, my training was in business. I was born in a Marwadi family. I'm half Marwadi, half Banya. So come on, for heaven's sake. I mean, I'm probably the most odd character in the world. Half Marwadi, half Banya, business school training, and I write books. So, my training was in business, not in writing. And during the early days of my career, when I was growing up, I used to go to my father's office. And of course, every Marwadi boy has to learn the fundamentals of bookkeeping. That's the most important thing that you learn before you learn anything else. Probably before you can even learn how to use a knife and fork, you must know what debit and credit is. So there was a Munim-ji in our office, and I was very fond of reading even in those days. My grandfather used to send me a book every week without fail to read. And this Munim-ji would see me with the book, and he would say, Ashwin Babu, why are you wasting your time? Bookkeeping is more relevant than book reading. And if you must read, then read a balance sheet. But don't read these books. Not good for you. But then it was a very dear friend of mine, from school, mind you. And this school friend, he told me that, Ashwin, see, you've become successful in your business. You're doing well in life. But I see that you are bored. You seem to have done it all. And he said, remember one thing, the problem with winning the rat race is that you're still a rat. So he said you have to ask yourself very carefully whether you want to be a rat for the rest of your life. Is that rat race so important that you will stay a rat? So my grandfather, on the other hand, he was a wonderful man. He used to, he was a businessman, but he had this beautiful library consisting of over 10,000 books. And during his lifetime, he sent me more than 400 books, which he said, Beta, isko padho. It will be the education that you will think about later on in life, and you will realize that this is what the education is that I gave you. So he would tell me that stop running after money. He would say the only thing that money gives you is the freedom of not having to worry about it. So he said, remember one thing, that Lakshmi without Saraswati is of no use. And he said, only when Lakshmi and Saraswati sit together can one prosper, like Ganesha, which probably explains why I look the way I do. So, to that extent, Ganesha is the connector. Ganesha is the connector of Lakshmi and Saraswati, and it is the connector of wealth and passion. So, having taken my grandfather's advice, I started off on my journey to write. And the gentleman pictured here is someone called Samuel Johnson, lived in the 18th century, writer, poet, essayist, but once a young author who had just penned a beautiful manuscript went to Mr. Johnson and said, Sir, will you have a look at my manuscript and tell me as to how it sounds? And Mr. Johnson, of course, read it, and then he wrote a letter to the young man, and he said, you know, your manuscript is good and original, but the part that's good isn't original, and the part that's original isn't good. And my situation was a lot like that, because I was taking older stories and I was trying to make them relevant in a newer context. So, think about this. Anyone and everyone has read the Harry Potter series. J.K. Rowling, when she was starting out, this book was rejected 12 times. I can pretty much bet you that those 12 publishers have committed suicide by now. Right? And then Jonathan Livingston Seagull, 18 times. One finds it difficult to believe because it's a classic. Stephen King, probably the greatest thriller writer ever, 30 times. Chicken Soup for the Soul. I mean, come on. How many of us haven't read one of the books within the Chicken Soup series? 33 times, that first book. Gone with the Wind. Oh God, if there was a classic, it was Gone with the Wind. 38 times. And then, of course, topping the list, Ashwin Sanghi with the Roosevelt line 47 times. And I was almost proud of my rejections, you know. I mean, it's a very ironic sort of twist of fate where you start beginning to count. It's like what right now Sharan was talking about, that you're building a collection. I was building a collection of rejections. So lots of rejections, but I was almost proud. I said, I've beaten the pants of J.K. Rowling. And well, it was Mark Cuban who said that every no brings me closer to a yes. And that's something which, for every student who is here, I want to emphasize. That far too often we think that our lives should take a certain direction, and they don't. The answer is simply hanging in there. A young publisher who was a friend of mine in those days, he said, Ashwin, you know, the publishing industry is notorious for lack of agreement. But they seem to be surprisingly unanimous regarding your work. You're unpublishable. So, having heard these wonderfully golden words, I want to give you some facts to think about. And then you'll realize what I'm talking about in terms of this entire space. Google estimates that the total number of unique books in the world is 129 million titles. 129 million titles, unique titles. Around 2.2 million titles are added every year. Partly this has been fueled by the self-publishing revolution, where a large number of people now find it very easy to bring their books into the market simply by using self-publishing platforms. Around 82,000 titles are released in India every year. That's around 225 titles per day. Scary number. Of this 21,000 titles, so roughly around 25%, are in English. And only 2% of these English titles will actually make it to the bookshelves in Crossword, W.H. Smith, Landmark, and what have you. If you go into an average Crossword, Naveen is here, 2,000 kitabein hongi, total inventory, 2,000, 2,500 titles, not more than that. 21,000 titles coming out, only around 2,000 titles in the bookstore shelves. The average self-published book will sell 57 copies during its lifetime. Can you believe that? A self-published title will sell an average of 57 copies during its lifetime, and I can bet you the vast majority of those sales are to the author himself or to the author's family, the author's papa, the author's mummy, and, you know, friends, well-wishers, relatives who've latched on. 950,000 titles out of the 1.2 million titles which are tracked by Nielsen Bookscan sell fewer than 99 copies. Scary, no? That's such a large number of titles, and they will sell 99 copies during the year. And only 25,000 will sell more than 5,000 copies. The average shopper, now this is the real scary statistic for guys like me. The average shopper in a bookstore will spend 8 seconds on the front cover and 15 seconds on the back cover. And most readers do not get past page 18 of the average book. So, these are the odds. And here I was, stupid, naive, unknowing, and I wanted to get into this industry. So I thought, well, nowadays self-publishing is working, right? So I picked up a book, Self-Publishing for Dummies. And this was around 2007. And I started learning about the self-publishing industry. And I took my name, because by then I'd already received 47 rejections. So I said, there's something wrong with my name. मेरे नाम में कुछ खोट है. So I said, Ashwin Sanghi. I took the letters on a Scrabble board and I jumbled them up and I came up with Sean Higgins. So Sean Higgins was going to be the writer of that book, and it was self-published in the year 2007. Now, it is Ernest Hemingway who came up with this wonderful advice to young authors. He said, write when you're drunk, but edit when you're sober. Not difficult advice to follow. I tried it. And along the way, I realized that actually in today's world, Hemingway's motto has to be slightly modified. It is write, edit, or both when you are drunk. That's fine. No problem. But remember that the hangover the next morning is known as book marketing. And that's precisely because it's the biggest challenge. Everyone thinks that the challenge is writing a book. But the bigger challenge is how to get people to read it. Biggest challenge. Go to an average bookstore. Where the hell is my book? So today the reality is discoverability is the biggest challenge for a new author. So let me tell you a little bit about my story as to how I got discovered. The year was 2003 and I had gone to Srinagar in Kashmir. And in that year, I ended up visiting this particular tomb. The tomb is known as Rauza Bal, which translated means tomb of the prophet. And in that particular tomb, which dates back, by the way, to about 112 AD, the sarcophagus lies along a north-south axis, which means, in other words, the body on top is a north-south burial, which is Islamic tradition facing Mecca. And then the grave below lies in the east-west direction. There's a second body below that first body, which is buried in an east-west direction, which is very much a Jewish burial. Outside the tomb is a carving that depicts a pair of feet that bear crucifixion marks. Now in 1887, a Russian explorer, Nicholas Notovich, visited Hemis in Ladakh. And while he was there, he found ancient scrolls that talked about a young boy called Isa. And that boy had come from Judea to India to study. Now, I was just fascinated. You know, some things become an obsession in your life. This was one of those obsessions. So Notovich actually ended up writing a book about it. It was published in 1889. It was called The Unknown Life of Jesus. So the thought, of course, Notovich was promptly arrested by the Russian police. Thankfully, I haven't been arrested till date. But when Notovich wrote it, the thought that came to my mind was that could you actually marry those two theories? The theory of a young boy coming to India and learning under Buddhist masters, and the possibility that this particular tomb could be the final resting place of Jesus Christ. And so that resulted in that first novel, The Rosabal Line. So let me tell you what I do. I was in Kolkata giving a lecture to a bunch of college students. And in Kolkata, I had a little time on my hand, so I told the driver, I said, take me to some interesting place. He took me to a little temple. And when I walked in, I didn't even think it was a temple. But then I noticed that there was a green-colored throne, and on that throne was a portrait of Amitabh Bachchan. And mind you, this was a very, very serious temple. There was a pujari there who was performing aarti in full gusto. So I came out of the temple and I was wondering as to whether this was real. So I came out and there was a little boy on the pavement and he was selling little prayer books. So I picked up one of the prayer books. I asked him, what is it? He said it is known as the Amitabh Chalisa. So the thought that came to my mind at that time was that supposing I was to die now after having visited this temple, and I reincarnate 1,000 years later. And 1,000 years later, Amitabh worship has really caught on. I mean, there isn't one temple, there are 1 lakh temples for Amitabh. And someone taps me on the shoulder and says, you know, do you think that Amitabh could have been a real man? Do you think he could have been a character in history? And that's not a funny question because that's precisely the question that we ask ourselves about Ram, Krishna, and so many other characters in our mythology and our theology and our history. So the thought that I had was that can we actually bring myth and history closer together. So that's pretty much what I try and do, bring myth and history closer. What I didn't realize was that by bringing them closer, I was actually creating a mystery. And that's pretty much what I do. I take myth and history and try and convert it into a mystery. So, having been rejected repeatedly and having started out with self-publishing, let me give you just a very quick run-through in terms of how all of this played out. I decided to self-publish on a platform which had just started in 2007, which was called Lulu. Now, Lulu was the name. Guys, come on, don't laugh at the name. The Lulu, not Alu, Lulu. So, Lulu basically allowed you to take the PDF document of your manuscript and upload it onto their server. And then, every time a person on Amazon asked for your book, they would print one book and send it out to that guy. It was print on demand and had come out for the very first time. So that book became available on Amazon, the Rosabal line. Now, unfortunately, my problem was that my books weren't available in India. So I started going to all the bookstores and asking them that, listen, will you keep my books? And they said, sorry, we don't even know you. And you don't look like anything like Mr. Sean Higgins. I mean, come on, find someone else. Not April Fool's Day. So they said that you need to come to us through a distributor. So I had a friend in those days who used to work for UBSPD, which was a big distributor of that time. And he gave me a list of 100 distributors in the country. And those 100 distributors, I decided to send one copy of my book to, saying, listen, will you please keep it and stock it? Now, the person at UBSPD in those days was this guy, and he turned out to be exceptionally, how should I put it? He was very, very helpful. He actually helped me, which was amazing because I had been rejected 47 times by then. So he gave me the list of distributors, and then I, in turn, eventually, one of those books landed up at a small Chennai distributor called East West. East West, in those days, was actually the sister company of Landmark bookstores. And so, the person who had set up Landmark, a lady called Hemu Ramaiya, she called me up and she said, Ashwin, this book is great, yeah. Why haven't we published it? I said, Hemu, stop pissing me off. I've been rejected 47 times. There isn't any publisher left in this country who will accept a submission from me. She said, no, I think it is publishable. Let's publish this. So then she passed it on to Gautam Padmanabhan, who of course is the CEO of Westland. And that's how my book eventually got published sometime in 2008. So, 2007, I self-published the Rosabal line. 2008, I had to kill off Sean Higgins and come out in the open. It was like coming out of the closet. 2008. 2010, Chanakya's Chant comes out. 2012, the Krishna Key. 2014, I write a crime thriller called Private India with James Patterson. And of course, 2015, a book called 13 Steps to Bloody Good Luck. And of course, why we are here today, 2016, just a week away, the Sialkot saga due to release. So, here was a person who had been rejected and suddenly the press was calling him India's answer to Dan Brown. It was ridiculous. And suddenly the next year I was included on the Forbes Celebrity 100 and I didn't know what was happening. People who wonder what happened, I was in that category. And then of course a year after that, James Patterson got in touch and said, why don't we write a book together? So, over 1 million books, actually a little closer to 1.5 million books sold now. And as they say, most publishers, writers can write books faster than publishers can write their checks. So it's one of those industries where even though you start doing a lot of volume, you have to really struggle in order to make your ends meet. So I want to deconstruct and destroy a few myths for you that good books automatically sell themselves. They don't. Here you can see this is an ad. It's a very ancient ad. It actually goes back to 1477. And it's one of the first ads for a book printed by William Caxton, England's first printer. On it, he praises a book that he has just produced. It's a manual for Christian priests. The sheet describes the book and then states that you can get a copy at the Red Pail, which is the name of his shop in Westminster. And you will not be disappointed because the book is good and cheap. Then, 1920, you can see Scott Fitzgerald is advertising for The Great Gatsby. This is not now. This is for a long, long time. 1926, Winnie the Pooh. And 1926 again, Ernest Hemingway, advertising The Sun Also Rises. And of course, the man who I collaborated with for one book, and I'm collaborating with on a series of other books, James Patterson. We wrote this book, Private India, together, but overall, he sells about 300 odd million books and earns about $90 million a year. But if you really think about the marketing that he does for these books, it's incredible. In January 2015, he came out with a book called Private Vegas. And the first 1,000 readers were allowed to download a copy which would self-destruct in 24 hours because it's believed that a true fan of Patterson should read the book within 24 hours. And one print copy was eventually auctioned. It went for $300,000. And it involved the book, a weekend in a fancy hotel, a dinner with Patterson, and the chance to watch the physical book actually explode in an undisclosed location, accompanied by a SWAT team. That's called marketing. This young lady, Jennifer Bell, disappointed by her publisher's publicity department, took on the job of promoting the book herself. She hired a bunch of actresses at $8 per hour to laugh publicly while reading her book on the subway. And of course, over 600 actresses actually applied for the roles, and the stunt got her national coverage. Mission accomplished. And of course, we've all heard about the cuckoo calling, but the book sold only 1,500 copies till the day that J.K. Rowling announced that she was Robert Galbraith. Marketing at its best. When Thomas Harris's Hannibal came out in 1999, bookstores were asked to serve up broad beans and Chianti as an in-joke to the fans who had queued up the previous night. So let me end with this little story, and it's very important for you to hear this particular story because you never know when this will happen to you. When I had been rejected 47 times, there used to be a Punjabi gentleman who used to come to our house. He was very fond of having a drink along with my dad. And of course, his drink was not a normal drink, it was 3 fingers, Patiala peg. And he would have this whiskey, and he noticed that I had a very sullen expression. And he said, "Beta, kya ho gaya hai? Why are you so upset?" And I said, "Uncle ji, I've been rejected by everyone. There is no publisher left." He said, "Isme kya hai? Ek aur ko apply kar lo. Apply to one more." So then he also, sort of in a consoling way, he said to me, "Beta, remember one thing. In life, 99% is about good luck." So I said, "But Uncle ji, that 1%, what is it? Talent, hard work, efficiency, inspiration. That 1% must be something." And he picked up his drink, drained it fully, and then he said, and he banged the glass down on his table. And he said, "That 1%, that is known as bloody good luck." So, my story is a story about bloody good luck. All I want to suggest to all of you is wait for your bloody good luck to kick in, because you don't know when it will. So don't give up too soon. Your bloody good luck is waiting around the corner. So thank you for being such a great audience.
Thank you, sir, for such a fantastic and energizing session. Now I request Mr. Indu Bhaskar, sir, to please present Ashwin Sanghi sir on the mentor. And let me tell you audience, we have a surprising element coming up. So keep your fingers crossed.
Thank you.
I hope the person who is handling the mic is ready with the mic. There will be a small short contest for all the fiction lovers and Ashwin's fan present here. Two questions will be asked and the person who will be raising his hand first will be given a mic and given a chance to answer the question. So I hope you all are ready. The lucky winner will be getting a surprise.
Should I tell them what the surprise is?
So please.
So, as you know, I have a book called the Sialkot Saga coming out 7 days from now. And as of today, no one outside of just my publisher and my editor and a couple of friends and well-wishers have read that book. Because as of right now, there's a complete embargo on that book all the way through till 7th of April. So we've got 2 copies of the Sialkot Saga, which will be handed out, duly signed by the way. So there are 2 copies of that book, which we are handing out to the lucky winners, right? So I hope you enjoy it, but please, whoever wins it, please start this book only when you have lots of time on your hands. Because the whole fun of this book is to just read it in one shot, whether it takes you the day or the night. Thank you.
Are you all ready?
Yes.
Question number 1. What was Mr. Ashwin's last non-fiction novel?
It's 13 Steps to Bloody Goodbye.
Yeah.
Correct? Yes. Please introduce yourself and come up on the stage.
Hi, this is Rochit from MBA first year and I have read the book as an e-book.
Oh, wonderful.
Rajit, as you said, please come up on the stage. Keep your fingers crossed for the second question. This is really a simple one actually. If you have paid enough attention before the talk, in the talk which was given, the one who will be raising his hand first will be the lucky winner. So the question is, what is the pseudonym of Mr. Ashwin Sanghi?
Sean Higgins.
I think the answer was from backside. Please introduce yourself.
My name is Mahej Jubin. I'm from MBA first year.
Mezabin, please come up on the stage. You are the second lucky winner. Congratulations.
So, sir, will you come up so that we can unwrap these 2 books? And because the cover is a secret, they need further wrap. You take off the so that people can see the cover.
Congratulations to lucky winner. Here we come to the conclusion of second session of Ideas Forum.
Can we play the video trailer
Sure.
of Sialkot Saga? listen guys, at the end of the day, I'm a banya, so I want more of you to buy the book. So therefore, you must see the trailer so that you get enticed into buying the book. So 2 minutes, please, the trailer, please.
Yes, this is the first official launch.
It's the first unofficial.
Unofficial, I must say. Sorry. So until our technical team gets ready, I have an announcement. So as our technical team is getting ready with the video, I have an announcement. There is a stall set up outside by Wasteland where you can get Ashwin sir's personally signed copy of his books. If you have brought the previous books that you are having, you can get those signed too.
And of course, there's a book counter.
And of course, there is a book counter.
We would love you to use. We would love you to use the book counter.
All of you. Committee, please come up on the stage for a group photo with Ashwin sir. Please be fast.
This is for the organizing committee, is it? Okay, so how are you going to read this? One member reads one page at a time?